Welcome to Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu podcast, episode 003. This is Stephen Little, and I'm here with
Isaac Tauaefa,
Josh Straussberger,
JP Dinnell.
Good morning, guys.
What up? What's happening?
Hey, first and foremost, we want to thank MBL Title for sponsoring this episode. We appreciate you guys. Lots of love and support from them. Such good men.
Awesome guys.
Anything you want to add to that, Isaac?
No, well, I work for those guys, and they are strong believers. They are passionate about jiu-jitsu and grappling, and they're big supporters of us. So just thank you guys, Matthew and John. We love you. Thanks for making it possible.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Guys, how's y'all's training been this week?
Whew.
I'm wrecked in the best way. I mean, my body, I am.
My back was talking to me this morning after yesterday. A little bit of.
Yeah.
My training's been good. I got some good gi in, and then got some good no gi in. And then tonight I'll get some more solid gi training in. It'll be good.
You guys been on the weights this week?
Yep.
Yeah, good mix of weights, and I mean, I had one training day with jiu-jitsu, but lifting the other days.
The week's not over though.
I know.
That's true.
I know. We'll get more training in on Friday.
Well, you're also recovering from being sick,
Right.
Isaac.
Well,
And you competed not knowing that you were sick in the Dallas Open, out there just getting after it, not making excuses.
Well, I text this guy on Monday to check on him, and he's like, "I'm in the gym. I'm burning out all the demons." And I'm like,
Oh, he's like,
I'm fueled by anger."
But
And
he's like,
"Dude."
my body's cramping because I have no electrolytes in my body because it's, expelling everything.
It was a little stupid, but
No.
I was really upset. I was really upset at myself because I made some stupid mistakes, which I know we'll get to talk about IBJJF Dallas Open. But I was mad about the mistakes I made, so I had to shut the voice up.
Well, bro, let's just
go into
let's get into it. That's what I'm saying.
There.
Yeah.
So let's start, JP. I want to hear. I know y'all probably heard that in the distant background, but I want
Somebody's
you.
mouth is watering from hearing that.
I want you to really hear it because this is a good time to talk about our other sponsor, Jocko Fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I just want everyone to if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this beautiful orange, Afterburner Orange by Dave Burke. Here we go. Listen, guys.
Do it.
Oh, it's money.
Wait for it. The crisp orange. We're in the game now, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the game. J&JJ 10 saves you 10% on all your Jocko Fuel orders. Get in the game. All right, so speaking of, JP, tell us about the Dallas Open because you were there with Aiden.
Yep.
And
it was Aiden's 17th birthday. So a lot of people were like, "Hey, are you competing?" I'm like, "No, it's our son's birthday." And just trying to find that balance of I really wanted to compete, and I knew I had maybe enough training leading up to it to where I could have justified training. But then it fell on Aiden's birthday. I'm like, no, I'm not going to, this is his 17th birthday. This is his day. But it's cool. Aiden loves training. He loves wrestling. He loves jiu-jitsu. And he actually wanted to go. Because I was like, hey, man, what do you want to do on your birthday? Well, he said, well, isn't the big jiu-jitsu tournament? And a lot of people from the gym are competing. I'm like, yeah. He goes, that would be cool to go there. I was like, okay. So it was awesome. I was able to go there with Aiden.
We had 48 guys, gals from our gym competing.
That makes sense because it was I was constantly going from mat to mat to mat to mat to mat to watch different teammates. There's there's always somebody in the holding pen. I think they call it the holding pen, right? Yeah. It was awesome to watch from a teammate's perspective. Just watching your teammates go out there and just put it all on the line. And I know Isaac's going to get into his, but watching Isaac compete was just incredible. Big dude. I mean, Isaac's a big dude. This guy was a big dude. I remember watching that guy, looking at Isaac, and I look over the other guy, I was like, huh, this is going to be awesome. I wasn't worried for Isaac at all.
Bigger than Isaac?
Yes.
Muscularly bigger?
Yes.
He was shorter, but he was wider.
Deep, with muscle,
and wide.
Big shoulder, huge
Yeah,
shoulders,
bro.
yeah.
Trap game on point. You're like, those are some trap goals.
He was a beefy dude.
Okay.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I need to see a picture. I'm having a hard time understanding how. Okay.
I mean, it was.
They're out there.
Yeah, they're out there, man.
They're rare.
And I mean, obviously, props to the guy. The guy was good at jiu-jitsu. He appeared to be a very humble guy also as well. And afterwards, and I bro, you don't think I didn't continue watching that guy compete after he beat Isaac? I was like,
Follow him to his car in the parking lot.
yeah. And, but I was like watching him compete. And I mean, the guy did, it was awesome. Like watching Isaac and all the other guys that have been through Pursuit compete as well. Like, I want to start mentioning names, but I know I'm going to forget somebody, and I don't want to leave somebody out. But for me as a teammate, watching them compete was very inspiring. It was awesome. Like all the men and women that we had there competing, just like laying out on the line, just going out there. I mean, Russell Roberts just destroyed his competition. I was watching him. I'm like, I'm glad he doesn't roll with me like that at the gym. He would break something on me. Like,
Well, I saw
dude.
that clip on Instagram,
Yeah,
and he jumps like a far jump for a flying guillotine.
Yep.
He hits it, but then it wasn't seated in, and so midair as he comes down, he double ankle picks like a perfect smooth transition from flying guillotine to double ankle pick. Comes on top in the
Shake him
mount.
out. Yep.
Like, oh, it was
He's
one
definitely
of the,
done it more than once.
bro. I saw that and I was like,
I
that was
rolled
sick.
with him leading up to the competition, and it was obviously I'm way bigger than him, but it was an onslaught.
Yeah.
Or
It's-
after the roll, I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now, but after the roll, it's the most gassed I've been in a long time. Just trying to hold him off, just because it was relentless.
Russell's such a nice, smiley guy. Like when he's walking into the gym, he's always smiling. He's so nice. We went to Pursuit with him.
Yeah.
The dude is just such a good
awesome
dude.
human, great family man, loves the Lord, and just a tactician with his
And
jiu-jitsu.
that dude knows the Bible, bro. Like inside and out. But what's crazy, so he's a smiley, happy dude. I'm watching him compete, watching the video, and this dude looks like lifeless in the face. Like he looks like he wants to end this other guy's life. Like he was intense.
Yeah, I would have been scared.
Yeah.
That was the other guy, dude, for sure. That look, you're right.
I'm like,
And
bro,
in the clip,
Russell
too,
just
he's
he
got after
flipped
it.
in. He flipped into a different mentality.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. Ryan Kramer, he's just a beast that destroys all of us. But watching him compete, and he competed against some other guys that I know from different gyms that I've just gotten to know through jiu-jitsu and because of what I do at Echelon Front and the We Defy Foundation, and like it was awesome, man. I'll tell you what, JB, oh my gosh, just was absolutely destroying guys like 12-0, and then decides to submit the guy at the very end.
I tell everybody this. He's got some of my favorite jiu-jitsu of anybody in the world.
Well, he is known by everybody, but known by nobody.
Yes,
Which is
yes.
crazy. That's what people say. He's one of the best non-known jiu-jitsu guys in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
So
which is
JB,
crazy to me.
James Brown, he was Carlos Machado's like first black belt in Texas.
Yeah, him and Travis Luter.
Yeah. So he's like,
And so Travis Luter, watching him compete was scary. So him and JB used to be training partners back in the day. And I was in another group text with a group of other guys from jiu-jitsu, and I was like, yeah, it was awesome watching JB compete, destroyed it. And someone goes, JB used to make my life a living hell in jiu-jitsu, like until he started training, because that's how good he was. And then I guess him and Travis training together would just wreck all these other guys for years, just straight.
he's a savage.
Nothing's changed.
An amazing chiropractor, great guy. But yeah, I mean, all the guys. So I guess I could sit and probably talk about this for hours, just all the different matches, like Rodrigo and Monique and Victoria, like double gold. Like that girl is absolutely insane. And it was really cool me watching her husband Trey, who has been to Pursuit, one of our black belts from Double Five, watching Trey watch his wife compete was incredible. Anthony Kronk, I mean, just all these guys from our gym that love the Lord, all these women that love the Lord, just out there. Just when it came to be competition time, they just turned on that switch.
Yeah,
Anthony also went to Pursuit with us. He's got that. He's a former wrestler, like D1 wrestler, and he brings that pace to jiu-jitsu, which is to gi jiu-jitsu, which is fun to watch and scary. Back on James Brown real fast, JB. Isaac, you said he's got one of your favorite styles of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
To me, and this makes sense, y'all just heard his background, Machado's first black belt in Texas. JB has that classic style of jiu-jitsu that's effortless.
Yep.
So, like, he will get someone, I mean, I outweigh him probably by 100 pounds. Obviously, my skill level's way below his. But he effortlessly wears me out.
Yeah.
Like, he's not breathing hard.
No.
He's got that classic style of smart jiu-jitsu
Yep.
where he can control and dominate people and position without using any energy. And it's fun to watch.
Such a sick lasso game. Like he that's how he sweeps people that are way bigger than him. He just weaves his leg in, stays really calm, and it doesn't matter what you choose to do. If you choose to try to, like, you know, circle to the bad side, you circle to the good side, it doesn't matter. Wherever
They're
you
all
go,
bad sides.
Yeah, it's all bad sides with him, and he's gonna end up on top, and you're gonna regret it.
Right, and it's effortless.
Yeah,
So good. So Isaac, tell us about your match. So you competed.
Yeah.
What division were you in?
Master 1, purple belt, ultra heavy. And I was not the biggest guy in the bracket, much to my surprise, which I'm just usually the heaviest dude. But man, it was the guy that I competed against was a formidable opponent. He earned the victory for sure. I started out the match. I was nervous, like, leading up to it. You know, I was anxious, as I think you should always be before a match. But I tried to not let it, like, you know, drain my energy. Well, we go out to the mat. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling like right at the beginning.
Speaking of
I'm pretty
drained
loose,
energy,
yeah.
you were sick that morning.
Well, yeah, sick. My son was throwing up all night, and my stomach was killing me. Took some medicine. Was like, I'll be okay as long as I can just control symptoms. I think I'm gonna be fine. So I felt okay. So we line up, you know, slap hands. JP's over there. All my teammates. You know, my coach David ended up. They were running behind because our match got moved up like 40 minutes early, and he was teaching a class in Highland Village, and then came up.
So Weston was there.
So Weston Vance was coaching,
which he was fun to watch compete also. So.
Yeah, no, he's legit.
He's
I
like my
love him.
jiu-jitsu hero.
I love him. I trust that dude too, so I'm really thankful I got to hear his voice. But so the match started out. I think we got grips. I was trying to do this like Russian grip that sets up a good tornado throw, or you can do kind of a double leg from there, a single leg entry. Well, the guy was really strong, and he was kind of backing out of there, and I switched grips somehow, and I took him down. Like, I don't remember the mechanism, but anyway, took him down, passed, went knee on belly. I don't think I got knee on belly points. It was just kind of quick. Went straight into mount, and then from there I was like kind of tunnel vision and a little like, you know, amped up. So I tried immediately for a punch choke, because usually if you do that, I mean, I don't think I'm going to finish people like that, but people will frame to get away from the punch choke, and then you can take an arm. So I do that. He turns really hard to the side, turns back to me, and I was in mount, and I was trying to get settled, and he ended up getting behind my sleeve and was pushing me away.
A tricep grip?
Yeah, tricep grip while I'm in mount.
Got it.
And so normally, so anyway, I come down and circle my arm all the way around, and they're like, cross face, which I think I wove my legs, like, you know, behind his, like, under his legs,
Like foot to foot
to
flat.
Yeah, like underneath his legs.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you can put a lot of hit pressure into somebody, and, you know, it's kind of exhausting when a big guy's doing that to you.
Yeah.
And that was my plan, to just kind of like make him tired, because I didn't want to fight full force. This guy's really strong. I cross-faced. That was a mistake I made. I cross-faced him with my legs woven, and I shouldn't have done that, because as soon as I did that, as soon as I cross-faced, he swept me. And so I was in closed guard. Another mistake I made, I opened my legs too early to play. I was trying to play lasso. I was trying to play JB's lasso game. And but I was just real close to him. He started smashing my bottom leg down, and I got a real shallow lasso. He ended up passing this way. And I think he got some knee on belly points. So he got like a sweep. He got a pass and knee on belly points, and that put him 1 point ahead of me. And I just was underneath him fighting for a long time, and I was like, man, why I feel so tired, so gassed, so wore out, so exhausted. I just thought it was because of the nerves and because, you know, the guy was heavy, and which all of those were a factor. But yeah, anyway, so lost the match. He got his hand raised. I left, and then when I got home, it was like full on fever, chills, body aches. I was like, oh, I'm sick.
The guy was sneaky with his knee on belly points, because he got him twice on you.
Yep.
And one of the times you didn't realize he got him because there was no pressure from his knee on belly, but he was resting his shin against his side to where his knee was over his belly, and he would hold the position and look at the ref. And so Isaac didn't realize the guy was getting knee on belly time.
Yeah.
And so therefore points. And I remember one of the times I was like, dude, bro, move. He was about to get knee on belly. There's no way that he could move and the guy's going to like be able to maintain it. Yeah, the guy's a big, strong guy, but he's not going to maintain it with them. And he did that one of the times, and he got knee on belly points without Isaac realizing where he got the points from. And so, I mean, the guy was smart. The guy was smart with his jiu-jitsu.
So much of competition, as we've all seen, especially as you get into these higher levels, it's things like that.
Yeah.
It's the little details of actually fully understanding every aspect of how to score points and how the refs judge. And
well, so I guess I told the whole context for people that know jiu-jitsu. They can kind of like imagine the sequence and how it rolled out. But the point of it was I made one stupid mistake. I knew I shouldn't have cross-faced with my legs woven. My friends were saying cross-face. I should have unhooked my legs. But it was just like in the moment, it's one tiny little detail that cost me, end up getting swept, and then that kind of a cascade of
downward
bad
spiral.
moves. But yeah, that's how it's close to margin.
so how do you? So everyone's different. So I'm always interested in this. And like if y'all have been listening on to the first couple episodes, y'all know Isaac was a D1 football player. Probably would have gone beyond that had he not had a knee injury. So you're a high level athlete. So my question is, how do you deal with defeat? So like when you lost, what are you feeling that day? Where are you at right now? Several days removed from it. What's your training going to look like moving forward? Is it changing? Is it staying exactly the same? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I want to get inside the head of Isaac Tauaefa.
Yeah, so it's weird. The losing in a team sport with like football is absolutely, to me, completely different than losing in an individual sport like jiu-jitsu, because there's literally no one else to say, oh, well, if they would have done a little more, if that person would have, if the linebacker would have blitzed when he was supposed to, then I could have gotten the tackle. It was none of that. It's like, well, I made the mistake. I did this. So there's an ownership piece that's like, well, hey, there's really only one person to blame for anything that went wrong during the match. So that's something to like have to reckon with. So I took this loss harder than I took any football loss ever, because it was all on me. But with that said, I know at times in my life I put a lot of my identity into football, into my success in athletic endeavors, and that's not been a good format for understanding who you are in context of like how God loves you, who you are as a father and a husband, all this stuff. So I think a lot of people are just like, dude, they understand they hate losing too, but like every guy that we know that's a well-decorated jiu-jitsu guy has lost tons of matches, and you forget that because you think, well, you see these champions and you just think, oh, they've just won every match they've ever done, I mean, except for Hodger Gracie, we can let him exist in his own category. But like most guys we know,
Just a different human.
Right.
Is he human?
yeah,
I don't know.
no. But most guys that we know have lost like tons of matches, and you don't see those. You just see, but they've all learned stuff from it. So I take that piece of it, and a lot of people, since they understand that, they're just like, dude, hey, it happens. And the cool thing is in the community, jiu-jitsu community, no one's like, wow, you lost, like that you are trash.
yeah.
Well, dude, we all lose. All
the time.
All of us here at this table. There's a few guys, but everyone that trains jiu-jitsu gets caught. Even the best of the best. Like we're saying, they get caught, and they get caught regularly.
Yep.
One of my old black belts from my old gym, who's still one of my very good close friends, Matt Waltman, just good human, good Christian man as well. He's been to Origin Immersion Camp with me a few times, and we've gone to church with his family before we hang out. And he would always say, he's like, hey, when you compete, nobody cares. And I was like when he said it the first time, I was like trying to think like what he meant by that. And he could tell that I was like trying to process it. I was still a white belt at that time, and there were some guys that were competing, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And he was just like, yeah, nobody cares when you compete. Yeah. He's like, not in a bad way. He's like, and also not in a good way. He's like, dude, think about this. He goes, and he shared his story, which I thought was cool. He did this competition. He won. I believe this is a correct story, but he wins. He comes in the gym, and people are like, oh, did you compete? He goes, yeah. They're like, how'd you do? He goes, like, I won. They're like, oh, cool. He goes, nobody cared. Nobody cared at all in the gym. He was like, cool. Like, let's go train, And then he's like, I've also competed. And people are like, hey, did you compete? He goes, yeah. They're like, how'd you do? He's like, lost. So like, cool.
Yeah.
Like, again,
Exactly.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, dude, he's like, just go compete, have fun. He's like, you're going to learn. He goes, nobody cares if you win. Nobody cares if you lose. Nobody cares. And I was like,
It's so
That's
true.
that's an
it just
excellent.
takes so much pressure off if people realize that.
It's an excellent point. Like I never thought of it that way, really. But like Isaac competed on Saturday. It's the same thing. What are you going to do on Monday? if you win, I'm going to go train. Well, what are you going to do on Monday if you lose? I'm going to go train.
Well, to that, this is so funny because when I joined Double Five a couple years ago under Formiga, who we've talked about, who's 3 of our professor, and Isaac's lineage goes through Formiga. And so we all kind of go back to the same place, back to Dedeco, like JP was talking about. And I guess that was before we were recording. You're talking about Dedeco.
Yeah.
But we go through Dedeco, who we love. If you're listening, Professor, we love you. But anyways, when I went to Formiga's gym, it's a heavy competition gym, high level, a lot of high level guys. And I remember Formiga won gold. I think it was Pan American, whatever. He won the gold championship, and a lot of our guys got medals. And so I was hyped to come. I was watching on Flow Grapple and everything, and I was hyped to come in on Monday. Come in on Monday to train, and we're warming up, and he's like, right before we warm up, I guess he's like, "Hey guys, great showing at Pan Americans. Thanks to all the competitors. Great work. We train now." And I'm like, dude, you just
We're
won.
not going to party? I thought we were going to party
I'm
today.
like, you
There's no
won.
celebration?
You won double gold. We're not even going to reference it. He never talked about it.
yeah.
Like, doesn't even want to talk about his double gold because he's like, hey, and coming back from Dallas Open this Monday, he's like, hey, thanks to our 48 competitors, amazing work, team. Dallas Open is in the rearview mirror, and he's like, we have Pan American. He's like, we have Pans. Let's train hard. And I'm like, check. But that's the thing. Like, no one cares.
No one cares either way. I mean, they're like happy for you, and I think a lot of people. It's a healthy perspective. So I'll say how I process is I was really hard on myself. I'm super hard on myself, and I think what tempers that is having that kind of mindset in the community, and it's awesome. Like I lost, and I had David Rodriguez, my coach, his professor Marcus Antalante, who's a black belt under Formiga. He was just like, great to see you, great job competing, like happy for you, looking forward to the next one. I'm like, but I lost. I got smushed inside control.
Well, the thing is, I mean,
dude,
You like, happy for you.
good job.
Proud of you. What? Are you watching me or something?
do you even know me?
Did
Did you see me?
He was cool. He's cool about it. I mean,
Marcus is a really good dude.
Yeah.
But the truth of it is that, I mean, like, I get that. Nobody's harder on me than me.
Yep.
But from the outside, like, do you think any of the 3 of us thought anything different?
No.
Other than maybe a little more than some people, like, I feel bad for my bro, like,
Yeah.
But
I just wanted to see the guy that smashed him inside control.
right.
I'm looking forward to a rematch when I'm not throwing up.
Yeah,
out
when
of
you're not
both
on the
ends
verge
the night
of
before-
mud
the day
bug.
before.
So, hey, I have a question. So Isaac is obviously a big, powerful athlete, but he's so nice and gentle of a human. And I feel like like when we roll in the gym, you're right in the middle. Like, you're a very good training partner. I think when people see you up front, they're like, ooh, I don't want to roll with that guy. And then they realize, hey, Isaac is a very, like, you'll focus on skill and you don't just smash people. So my question is, we were trying to get you like ramped up to be mean in your competition. Yeah. So did you, JP shaking his head, what level of aggression and meanness did you play in this competition?
Well, so actually that's so funny. I had that in my mind. I wanted to throw this dude, right?
That's why he's looking for the tornado.
I was. That's why I was setting up the Russian. But the way that it transpired, it was like, in my mind, a little anticlimactic because he ended up, I think I got like an outside foot trip or something that made him go down. Oh, because while I was setting up the Russian to actually get a tornado throw. So, but I think maybe the aggression would have continued to elevate if I got a tornado throw because then I capitalized on it. But yeah, I was definitely thinking that, but then I was just a little jarred. So I think that, and that's another fault of mine, is I was fixated on kind of one series of events, and I know that's not the best way to approach. That's good.
Well, for all you listeners out there, as you follow along in the future, and we continue talking about Isaac's competitions, we're gonna continue to push him as his brothers to get meaner and more aggressive.
He's just such a nice human.
And as I call it, it's I want the world to see that Samoan smoke.
Well, I will say it's actually kind of it's something that I've learned because when I first started jiu-jitsu, I had a buddy in Hawaii that was teaching me. He was a brown belt. He's a black belt now out there. His name's Jason Aquino. Awesome dude. He told me early on when I was a white belt, hey, if you want to have good training partners, you're going to have to like scale back a lot of this stuff. He's like, yeah, you're gonna hurt some people on accident, and they're gonna be like, I don't want to train with this big guy. And a lot of my friends from Double Five, when I like first asked them to roll, they were like straight up, yeah, man, I'm sorry, you're too much heavier than me. Like I don't, you know. And then they see me roll with someone else, and they're like, oh, cool, you're not a spaz.
You're pulling guard playing
Yeah.
a spider game or a lasso game.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, let's roll, and that's been awesome. So
And then you throw.
Hey, you told me once about your first time cross training over under Formiga.
Mm-hmm.
Were you weighing like what, 300 pounds?
I was almost 320. I was 316, and the reason I remember that, and guys, this is funny. This is like a total inside thing with me and my wife. I was 316 pounds during that time, and I told my wife, I stepped on the scale. We were both weighing ourselves. Stepped on the scale, and I just like looked at her, and she said, "What?" And I said, I was 316, and she said, "Dang, Big John, 316."
Your wife is absolutely incredible.
So tell me,
Never forget that.
I don't know how she handles
you walk into Formiga's gym
yeah.
at 316.
Yep.
And he rolled with you, right?
Yeah.
What was he weighing at I mean, Formiga fluctuates from like what, high 170s maybe for certain, or does he like 180s, 190s?
Just in the 180s, I think.
He was probably
He
about
likes to eat.
175. But yeah. He was not
My man.
big version. He was a little smaller version of him.
I've heard you tell this story a few
Yeah.
times, so I think they'll enjoy
Well,
it.
he's such I knew he was a great butterfly guard player, and so, but I'm like, he gets me a butterfly.
Like,
he's sitting.
I will stop this game.
Big John 316.
John,
I'm 316,
And
homie.
hey, bro, that's pre like water, coffee, food, and ghee. You're probably
Right,
like
yeah.
325.
For sure. So he scoots in, he gets a belt grip on me and scoots way up underneath me, and I'm like, he's about to try to butterfly sweep me. So I get like heavy mode, you know, and I just like sink down on top of his hips, and I'm like, he's not gonna elevate me. And the next thing I know, he rocks up underneath me, elevates me enough that he can get his foot on my hip. Then he starts extending me, gets both feet on my hips, lifts me all the way up in the air, and spins me with his feet and throws an armbar on me as I'm falling, and he armbars me before I hit the ground, and I hit the mat so hard. I was in that far corner, kind of by the window, that wall. I fall on the mat so hard that everyone stopped rolling and looked over, because it was like, and he looks over. Everyone looks over just in time for me to tap. And I was like, I'll never forget that, dude. I went back and told my coach, David, I'm like, bro, we got to go over there and roll more. Like, it's such an awesome spot.
I just got overhead swept.
Yeah. And armbarred in the air. It was pretty awesome. But he's phenomenal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ike, let's jump into this right here.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking at our notes. You know, we put together some rough notes here. I want to see this next part, Isaac.
Yeah, so this is something that we discussed in the last podcast. We didn't have a lot of time to unpack it, so I know that we all kind of agreed, like, we just wanted to dive into it a little more this time.
Yeah.
So I'll reread it again for anybody that's tuning into this one that didn't hear the scripture last time. It's Romans 8 verse 6, and then we have from until verse 11 for some context. So I'll read that. For to set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the Spirit is life and peace. For the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God, for it does not submit to God's law. Indeed, it cannot. Those who are in the flesh cannot please God. You, however, are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if in fact the Spirit of God dwells in you. Anyone who does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to him. But if Christ is in you, although the body is dead because of sin, the Spirit is life because of righteousness. If the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ Jesus from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through his Spirit who dwells in you. So Romans 8:6 is like one of my favorite verses, because it's a promise and it's a truth, as we've learned from Pursuit, a promise principle. It is a promise and a truth. That when you set your mind on the things of the Spirit, you will experience life and peace. So the truth piece is, if you set your mind on the flesh, the result is going to be death. And so I've listened to a few different things about this, and I was listening to Pastor John Piper talk about this verse specifically. And there's a verse right before this, Romans 8:5, and it talks about it's to set your mind on the flesh is to set your mind on the things of the flesh, of the fleshly world. And that includes a carnal mind. So that means your wisdom, your righteousness, your fears, your anxiety. When you set your mind on those things, and that's the first filter you put on to look at the world through, it's going to lead to death. It's going to lead to death in your marriage, death in your parenting, death in your discipline.
Ike, that reminds me, one of your favorite pastors, Russell B. Johnson.
Oh, man.
He's so good, dude. His Instagram game is strong, too,
Yeah.
by the way. But he was visiting my church actually on my birthday this last year in September. He comes and speaks a couple times at our church a year. But he talked about, he said, one of the things that scares me the most in the church as a whole is I hear a whole lot of really good human wisdom. Dude. A whole lot of really good human wisdom, and it's terrifying. Yeah. Because I just want to hear God's wisdom, yes. And I want the wisdom from his word. Yep. And it's exactly what you're describing here. It just took me back to that. I mean,
yep. No, you're totally, so that's exactly the human wisdom part. It's leaning on the mind, that's setting your mind on the flesh. Yep. What sounds like logical reasoning? I mean, God gave us logic, but he's got to be our first filter. Setting our mind on the Spirit has to be the first filter we put on before we view anything else.
There it is.
That's been this verse has been a blessing to me because, and I mean, if anyone's watching and they're like, well, okay, that sounds good. How do I set my mind on the Spirit? How I think you do that is the things that you dwell on, the things that you think about, what you purposefully take every thought captive. And they have to be the things of the Spirit. And
where's the first place you turn to? So like, you know what I mean? Like if, you're going through one of these things, what's the very first, are you first going, what's your default reaction? Yeah. Is it, to seek God, godly counsel, brothers and sisters in Christ, right? To reach out to, yeah. Is it to like open up the Bible, like to ask the Lord, or is it to just lean on, the fleshly stuff, right? And so I think that's also the filter. It's not that we don't utilize manly wisdom and people like that, but I think it's just, where do we turn to first?
Well, and that's a great point, because I think how we decipher, discern which things of human wisdom are worth keeping or worth holding on to are to have that filter first of to have the Holy Spirit in you, yes, guiding you and illuminating the things that people say that like, oh, that lines up with Scripture. That's right. I can take this piece of what this person said, and that's how you can listen to teachings that are not even biblical, or they're not from they're from a secular source, but there's some truth in there. It's actually because it relates to the Bible.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, it's like, because it's rooted back from the Bible, right? Yeah. Which is cool.
It's still coming from truth.
Yes. Yeah. True, real truth. So I think how you set your mind on the Spirit, or at least the process that I do. That's helped me so much in just setting that filter. Is the first thing I look at everything through and think through is just praying first and foremost that God, that the Holy Spirit help me to set my mind on the things of the Spirit. First thing in the morning, pray specifically for that, and then you read the Word, and then I write in a prayer journal, and it's only so that I can slowly and carefully choose my words that I want to say to God, and also so I can document the things I'm struggling with and the time of my life, like where I'm dealing with things that are difficult, and then I can look back, which I love. It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't have it with me. It's in my backpack over there, but I love to look back like 2 years and read my prayer. I'm like, I don't even remember writing this, and it says I was struggling with pride, or I was struggling with, was feeling depressed or something, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing to see what God has done. So anyway, that's the purpose of the prayer journal.
It's so good, man. And what I think some of you listeners, viewers out there, you might be thinking, man, Isaac, that's deep, which I think you just gave a great breakdown on how to do it. But man, I'm a white belt, or you know what? I'm not even on the mat yet spiritually. Like I'm listening to you guys because y'all are talking about jiu-jitsu, yeah, right? And I listen to every podcast JP Dinnell's on, so that's why I'm listening to this one, right? I love making you uncomfortable. Well, so with that, what I would say the key here is, it's kind of what we talked about in episode 001 with the armor of God, and being in a spiritual battle, not a fleshly battle. It's, hey, if you're in that mode, who I just described, the biggest thing is just opening your eyes to this, right? Maybe you don't even know how to apply this yet, but just start opening your eyes. Hey, I need to start focusing on the spirit over just flesh, so to speak, to talk in context of the scripture. Hey, I need to start opening my eyes to what's the Lord talking to me? What's the Lord trying to communicate to me? Like,
That's good.
Hey, this is a physical world we live in, but the spiritual is just as alive as and so if you're out there and you're like, dude, I'm not even on the mat spiritually, so to speak, like with Jesus or whatever, well, just start opening your eyes. Maybe you probably have a good friend that is on the mat, right? Maybe start asking them some questions, right?
Yep.
Just start opening your heart up a little bit, your mind up a little bit, opening the Bible up. That'd be my piece of advice for that individual out there.
That's really good.
I've given this advice to people before, and I don't remember who I heard it from. I think it was my grandmother. Like back in the day, we used to take walks up at their property, and my grandmother would not make us, but we got to like learn the Bible by reciting the books of the Bible on our walks in nature, which was amazing, right? We're up in the foothills of Northern California. We'd take walks during the day, and then at night after dinner, we'd take a walk as well. And it was always cool because then, it's getting dark out as we're getting close to getting back to the house. So as a kid, there's that little element of like adventure. Uh-huh. And I know what she was doing. She was very, it was really cool. She was doing that. And we would recite the books of the Bible, and then she would just talk about different things. And, as kids, you ask all these questions. And I just remember my grandmother giving me the advice, not when I was a little kid, but when I was older, about just tell somebody, just to simply say, God, show me something.
Yeah.
Like, just show me something. Yeah. And if you just start there with like, hey, God, just show me something. He's going to show you something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be profound. It's not going to be like, like a dove flying across, like, with like the clouds forming across or something like, but he's going to show you something.
It can be though.
But he can't. Yeah. And it can be. And that's what's cool is like, it could be something as simple as like, you hear something, you hear a song on the radio, and then you see it and he's like, that's weird. He's going to catch your attention. Yeah. He will, if you're just asking like, hey, God, show me something, he's going to catch your attention. And then when he catches your attention, open up your heart a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Totally agree. I mean, that opening up to it, I think you said that's the first step, but also a way of opening up, I think, is it's kind of a natural progression as you stop focusing on yourself as much, your flesh, and put your thoughts and focus somewhere else. There is a little bit of a natural progression of, you'll look back and be like, oh, I used to think of, and it could be yesterday. Could be yesterday. Like yesterday, I would have thought of it in this context, but I'm more open to thinking it this way. I don't know. For me, it is. It's real. The less you're looking at yourself and your flesh, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's easier.
So that's literally the scripture. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's literally the scripture.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're not setting your mind on the flesh, you're setting your mind on the things of the spirit.
Right.
And you gradually think of yourself less, gradually have less of those temptations. You have less room. We are aiming for his increase in our decrease, right? And yeah.
So a great example of that, Josh, is like we've been obviously talking in this episode about our gym and a lot of the guys in our gym and Dallas Open. How much harder do we train when we know we've got a bunch of brothers about to compete? So when we're focused on our training, it's like, okay, we push, we're all self-motivated, disciplined people, right? But when we've got a bunch of brothers and sisters that are about to enter competition, dude, we will black out, pass out at the end of our training because we're going to push them as hard as they want to be pushed so they're ready for competition. So it's kind of the same thing, Josh. When we get outside of ourselves, how much more real does this verse come alive, right?
It's what you focus on in life.
Yeah.
I mean, just for like as a silly example, I was talking to you, Stephen, about a vehicle that I like. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm just like infatuated with this vehicle right now. Like, not infatuated in a bad way, but I'm just like, man, it's a nice vehicle. I see it all over the place. And it's like, it's like when you get a new car, you see that same car or truck all over the place because it's in the top of your mind. And if we can, like you were saying, Isaac, start the day praying and in the word, that's at the top of our mind. And if we continuously do that throughout the day, it allows us to focus on what we need to focus on.
That's awesome. You're like sensitizing your mind to that thing, and then you start to see it. You start to be more receptive to it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great point.
So good. Let's see here. I don't know. I mean, I think we've covered some good topics today.
Yeah. I like it.
Agree.
Good.
We appreciate each and every one of you plugging into our platform. If you found value in this, we ask that you would share it with your friends, post on your social media. We will continue to offer you 10% discount on all your Jocko Fuel needs. JJJ 10. That's 10. Saves you 10% on all your Jocko Fuel orders. They've got the best protein in the game, the best energy drinks in the game that are not overly caffeinated, focused on mental acuity. I love to hit one before I train because it will not crack you out and elevate your heart rate, right? But it locks in that focus mid-roll when when you are under a guy like Isaac and smashed in side control. It brings it back. Yeah. They're all pasteurized. Everything's natural, super healthy. They've got that Jocko creatine. Get on there. There's so many supplements. The greens are out of this world, and that's coming from a meat eater. Like, it just helps me justify my meat eating because I'm like,
well, I was gonna say it's a perfect balance because you ain't loading up on salad, Tommy. So.
Yeah, y'all know that, right? So I get those Jocko greens in, and dude, they taste good. So, anyways, get in the game on that nutrition. They've got everything too, like cold warfare with all the vitamin D and everything you need to keep your immune system strong. And for all of us that are training hard, right, we need that. So it's good. So get in the game there, JJJ 10. We appreciate each and every one of you listening in. This has been Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu Podcast, episode 003.
Go train.